Hello everybody! Today I'm going to make a special kind of video, a video that has been on my mind for several years, and it's a video that I am finally able to make it a reality. And I'm going to talk about mental health in competitive STEM. Unlike my usual videos where I explain problems or I explain topics or I cover competitive programming, today I want to cover something that is very important nowadays, and it is especially important in competitive STEM. So not just in competitive programming but also in competitive math, physics, chemistry, and so on. Fields where I've also seen a lot of the things I'm going to talk about apply as well. Before we will get started, I want to quickly specify that I'm not a professional in psychology or I don't have any medical studies, but over the years I let's say developed several types of ways to make sure that during my competitive career, but also during my work, I protect myself from the dangers of competing at the highest levels and the mental damage that comes with it. So you will see that this video is going to be very interesting and we will cover a lot of the things you will see are things you can relate to. So let's begin. So as I said, I will present mental health, and as you know, I have been competing for over 10 years at this point, and I've also trained people for over 5 years. So I have worked with tens of students around the world from many countries, and I helped a lot of them achieve great results. And this is why I will present 10 ways to overcome the potential shortcomings that could arise with being a high performer. And I'm not talking just about competitive programming, but also about other sciences. Of course, it is very important to know that if you need more specialized help, you should I recommend you to contact professionals who have a way better background in terms of mental health, because this is not something we are joking about. It is a very serious topic, and everything I am saying here is solely my opinion and things I've seen they work. But again, the best solutions are these that a professional will provide. But again, I have managed to, let's say, combine my experience with things I've read to give you some useful advice that can help you, let's say, up to a certain level. But again, for everything beyond that, you need to contact a professional, or if things are really bad, look into other hotlines for such assistance. Again, I have developed these pieces of advice during my career, and I'm going to cover them one by one. And as they help me become more and more confident over the years, while also making sure to learn from, let's say, the things I struggled with, since a lot of the things I am going to mention are things that I struggled with a lot during my, let's say, high school years or younger, when I didn't know these things. So let's get started. First, and the most important thing, put health above everything else. Or as I say, it is better to achieve a bit less but be more healthy than to achieve, let's say, a bit more but to potentially be less healthy, or let's say suffer from health issues later in the life. And basically, I came to this realization as I was practicing, because when I was in high school, I felt I was behind my, let's say, peers, or behind, let's say, other contestants of my age. And I felt the need to put more work to catch up with them. Of course, this is a good thing to do, but as people say, everything good comes in moderation. So I found myself in a position where, because I was trying way too hard, I was struggling with, let's say, keeping certain parameters at an optimal level. And I didn't know at the time, but looking back, I realized that I could have done better if I were to take more care when it comes to these things. Even when I do my work these days, work, while I work quite a bit to achieve the things I'm doing, both when it comes to projects or also when it comes to my teaching. I also want to make sure that I give myself the time to have a healthy lifestyle, to enjoy other activities, or to work out to make sure that I stay as healthy as possible. So again, don't overdo it. It is way better, even down the line, to achieve maybe a bit less, but know that you have a better chance to preserve your health for longer. Second, you need to take things and objectives on a day by day basis because each day is an opportunity for you to be better than you were yesterday. So, what I mean by that is that even if you have, let's say, a very big target, let's say you want to reach IOI, or you want to become, I don't know, candidate master, or you want to become the best in your country at something, you know that it is a very hard thing to do. And I'm not saying that this is going to make it easier, but it is far better to, let's say, make sure that you put the work on each day rather than thinking that, oh, this is such a big goal, I will never achieve it. Because when you do that, when you, let's say, think at how difficult it is to achieve something, instead of having a mindset that allows you to, let's say, to enjoy the progress you make every day, or the work you put every day, you keep thinking and worrying about the possibility that you will never succeed, or about how much you still need to do. And this is counterproductive in the long term, because yes, it's not like the goals will become easier, but it is easier to deal with something if you know that it's in your control by doing small steps at a time. So again, this is something that even with, let's say, learning a topic, instead of thinking at how much you need to learn about that topic, all the textbooks, all the problems you need to solve, and so on, take it, let's say, step by step. Let's say first you cover the most basic concepts, then solve some problems on it. Then as you develop your skills, maybe, I don't know, ask someone else who knows better. But don't assume that you need to do it for, let's say, every topic flat out, like learning everything at once, because there is a time for everything. 3. Practice and compete only when you feel like doing it. And when you have to compete, make sure to detach yourself as much as possible, but not entirely. This is a longer one, and it's in a way split into two parts. So, the first part is straightforward, because if you, let's say, don't feel well for some reason, let's say, I don't know, let's say you caught a cold, or let's say you're going through a rough patch at school or at work or in your life, there is no point in practicing and competing if you're, let's say, able to skip these, if you're not at your 100%. And the reason why I am saying this is because while you may think that it's, let's say, a good way to cope with the shortcomings that you face in other fields of life, if you're not doing well, then the worries and the anxiety will only compound if you also consider the fact that you also have to deal with other things you're struggling with in life. So this, and also for many of these competitions, we do it as hobbies, or at least we start them because we like them, and there is no point of doing something way too much even when you shouldn't do it. However, the second part, when there are moments when we have to compete. It can happen that, let's say, an Olympiad or a contest or an interview is at a certain date, and we can't really reschedule it. So now the natural question is, what do we do if we aren't doing well in other parts of life and we need to compete? The thing which helped me the most in such situations is to fully detach myself, or at least detach myself as much as possible, and forget about everything that's not going well in other things of life. So let's say I was, let's say, going for a chess tournament. I won a few times at chess tournaments. I'm not that good at chess, but I'm going to mention this example because it's something that it's something that I've done to overcome this thing. And of course, it was right after the exams, and I had some difficult exams, and I wasn't sure if I did well enough for my standards. But when I went to the chess tournament, I forgot about everything about these exams for a couple of hours because they were done, they were past me, and I couldn't really do anything about them. And I was solely focused on what I learned in order to do better at that chess tournament, of be it the openings, the strategy, the mid game, and so on. And it turned out that it was a way better thing to do than if I were to play with having in mind everything I was going through in life. And it was actually a nice experience, and I've done quite well. I didn't win the tournament or anything special, but I've done better than I was expecting it, given that I didn't have that much experience. So again, these things can help you a lot in your life, and again, make sure to give yourself the biggest attention when these things happen. 4. Cherish every achievement along the way, regardless of how small it is. And the reason I'm saying this is because I hear a lot of people have a mindset that can be resumed to something like there is no achievement until we achieve the big achievement, or there is no self-praise until we get to the very top. And this is something very toxic to have in your mind because it's not like everyone can win. There is only one winner at a time. And it doesn't mean that if you, let's say, don't win, you haven't done anything. What it would be the same as, let's say, saying that even if I climb from, let's say, the 10th best at something to the 3rd best at something, it's nothing just because I didn't win. This is not true, and every achievement, no matter how small it is very important. Even if, let's say, it's just about solving a very hard problem or finally understanding something, a concept that you were struggling to understand before. It is very important to cherish, of course, everything has to be measured, to cherish these things because they can be very important stages in your development. You may not know it, but let's say being able to understand a certain topic can help you later on with understanding other difficult topics. And it is again something very important I tell people all the time because it can be hard for people, as you will see later in the list of advice I give you or pieces of advice I give you. It can be very difficult to cherish these things in certain conditions, but it is very important to have in mind that progress is also important, and every step of progress you made is very good and can help you a lot to sustain, let's say, this desire to become better and to do well in whatever your field is. 5. No singular result defines your real worth, so don't get discouraged by occasional failures. Again, just like I said in the previous point, nobody can always win. There has to be a moment when even the very best lose or fail to succeed for a certain amount of time. For example, if you're familiar with competitive programming and code forces, you must have seen how Tourist has been, let's say, struggling to get near his peak rating for a couple of months already, and he's around top 10, no longer first or second as he used to be during the last 10 years. But even if these results happen for him, it's not like anyone will ever say that he's no longer good. Everyone still acknowledges him as one of the best competitive programmers and the best in his day. So the same goes at a lower level too. It can happen for everyone to mess up a contest. It happened to me many times before. For example, in my national Olympiads, in 2 out of the 3 years I qualified to. The 4th one, there was no national Olympiad because of the pandemic. But in 2 of the 3 years I had national Olympiads, I messed up a day for some reason. So I would go there, and for some reason things would just simply not click. And I didn't know at the time why it was happening. Of course, there were issues that were related to either not knowing certain topics or not paying attention to other details in the statement. But these, let's say, smaller hiccups, smaller failures, I didn't let them define who I really am. Because even if I didn't do that well, I still knew at the time that I was good enough and I was doing well. Of course, I wanted to be the very best, just like everyone else. And this was letting me down at times. But deep down inside me, I knew that I'm good, or at least that's what I was saying. Of course, now relative to everyone in my country, I was among the very best 10 people. So I was more than just good. But at the time, I knew that I was at least good. So again, the same goes with each and every one of you's journey. If you, let's say, are struggling with having a few bad contests in a row, or a few contests where you didn't do as well as you might have wanted to do, just remember that there is always something to learn from a contest, and it's very important to make sure that after you, let's say, learn from the mistakes you've done during these contests, to keep going with the same optimism as you had previously, because it's not like you are now a worse competitor or a worse person just because you had two bad contests or something. So again, it's very important to stay consistent along your journey. It can be very difficult, but at the same time, you shouldn't let these things ruin, let's say, your well-being. It's not worth it. In life, there are many opportunities to show what you're really made of. So don't let one or two failures define what everything is about when it comes to you. 6. Don't be afraid to open up about your struggles to people you trust and people who can help you, such as more experienced participants, professionals, or coaches. And this is a very important piece of advice, because for a lot of us, especially when becoming better, it's something that we tend to do it on our own. And the reasons why this can happen are multiple. Sometimes it may happen that we don't know anyone around us who is doing these things. For example, while growing up, I was from a small town, and nobody I knew at the school was, let's say, competing at a similar level, or was able to, let's say, relate to the struggles I had at the time. So it can be very difficult for people at times. And it's something that was a big part of my journey, especially during high school, because a lot of the times I was doubting myself. And looking back in hindsight, I should have been more open to some people when it comes to the things I really felt at the time. And it can be very hard to do it because, as I said, not a lot of people can fully relate to the struggles of being very good at a certain topic but not the best. So again, for me, what helped me was, let's say, contacting more experienced people, talking to them, or at least they were sharing, let's say, the things they were working on. I was doing the same thing, and even if this was just temporarily, it was giving me the feeling that I wasn't alone. And even if they were, let's say, struggling with things at a different level than I was, it's not like I was the only one to struggle with these things. Again, the very best thing to do in such situations, if you are in a position where you can do it, is to contact someone more experienced, like a coach or a mental health professional, because with a lot of the things, things can get really bad if you don't do them the right way. So I've been through these things, and I can assure you that it can be very difficult to see the light at the end of the tunnel if you don't do it the right way. So again, something you should take very seriously. 7. Avoid unhealthy interactions with other community members, and don't take seriously what most of them think about themselves. This is something I'm going to cover a lot. This is probably the reason why I made this video. Of course, the other were important as well, but I think the drop that filled the glass in terms of my desire to make this video was filled by, let's say, interacting with some of these people during the years. I don't want to blame them but I want to also for them. I also want them to see why doing what they're doing might not be the best thing for themselves or for others. And even if, let's say, for someone else who can't avoid dealing with these people, just limit your interactions with them. So basically, there are lots of people in various communities, such as, let's say, computer science communities, or even in math communities and many other communities, who go by something like, "Oh, I'm so stupid because I couldn't do this," or "I'm just a beginner," or "Look, everyone is better than me and everyone could do the same thing as I do," even though they are themselves, let's say, very good at it. I've even seen people who achieved very high results as contestants or qualified to Olympiads or even won Olympiads, who would regularly go and have this mindset about themselves. For some of them, it might be culturally because many cultures frown upon, let's say, boasting about doing well. So they do it. They do the opposite thing. For some others, it's just a way of life. It doesn't really matter. But the point is that even if they say, or even if you know that they are doing it as a joke, it, it doesn't matter because if you, let's say, read the same thing from someone every day, let's say you spend your evening chatting with a bunch of people you know on a community server and learning various things, and you keep hearing the same people talk about how bad they are and how everyone is smarter than them and so on. And what happens is that you might not notice it at first, but for example, it can make you feel like you're not even as good as them, especially if you know that they are more advanced than you are, and that you will never make it because if they are this stupid and they say that they are this stupid, what would make me believe that I do it? This is something many people face, and nowadays, especially in these servers, it can be something very hard to, let's say, fully isolate yourself from. So I would suggest that until you know for sure that you can deal well with these kind of people, and you know for sure that you won't have to feel bad about yourself just because they do that, you can limit yourself from interacting to these people, even block some of the more toxic ones, because with many of these people, they will never really want to help you. For some of them, they might even do it on purpose. But again, not everyone does it on purpose. But some of them do it on purpose. Some of them do it as a habit. It doesn't matter. But just make sure that whenever you interact with people in communities, take what's good from them, learn the things that can be learned, but don't fall into these traps that often come with interacting with people online, like taking everything they're doing as a way of life. I used to deal with having these issues too because I was watching some people act like that all the time, and I didn't know at the time, but it was making me feel very horrible about myself, which of course affected me when competing or when, let's say, interacting with them. So it can be something very dangerous. So you need to be very careful about this side of things. 8. Try to detach from time to time from the competitive spirit and enjoy other side projects or activities to get a broader perspective of the world. This is something you may not think it's important, but looking back and doing these things more and more, I realized how important it is to not be just one dimensional. Don't just go and solve problems every day, every week, and every year. Do other things too. Maybe enjoy, let's say, some sports, or go out with your friends, or even within your field, let's say in CS, maybe write some articles, teach someone a topic, or even develop an app, who knows. But the point is that you want to do other things too. And sometimes a break might be good too, because you find yourself in a place where you keep doing the same thing and you want to avoid feeling like a robot who all it does is just to do the same thing. Our lives are more complex than that. So it's again very important to be careful about these things. 9. Life and competitions are a marathon, not a sprint, and you should take them as such. Again, a continuation of some of the points I mentioned earlier. Again, you must make sure that even if at the end of the day you won't end up being the best or at the top, there is so much more to do in life. And even if you don't win, but you achieve a level that's good enough for you to show that you are relevant enough in the field, there are so many opportunities in life to shine and to do well. You don't even need to be the very best to succeed. This world is very big, and there are enough people who are rewarded for their patience, their perseverance, and their consistency. For example, even in my life, I've never been the best at, let's say, competitive programming. And if you compare myself to certain people, I would say that I'm quite far off. But I'm still good enough that I managed to achieve a lot of great things and be able to use this in my life in order to tell people what I'm really made of. And they saw it as I managed to develop myself in multiple other directions as well. So don't again, it's not like if you lose or if you don't win, you're not good at anything. You can try a lot of the things in your life. The life is long; it's worth living. 10. Even if you're not making much progress at the moment, don't associate it with a shortcoming, as it is something that happens to everyone. So a lot of the times this is happening to people. It happened to me too. I was watching myself progress, solve problems, and practicing different things, and I kept seeing that my results during contests were stagnant, or even if I had an improvement, it was a very slow one. And I was feeling like, what if it's my peak? What if I'll never get better? What if I might have hit a plateau? And there are lots of questions that might arise when you see something like this. And what I tell people and what I tell myself as well when these things happen is that it's a natural stage in personal development, because sometimes you might have learned a lot of things about a certain topic, and it takes you a while to fully let's say integrate these topics and be able to adapt them to other applications. Sometimes it may be that you have been stressing yourself for way too much and you need a break. Sometimes you might just not be in optimal conditions to compete. There are lots of things that can hamper you from progressing if you're not doing well, if you're not doing it well. So you need to analyze these and make sure to come with the right answers to make sure that you are able to make the step forward. And you should be patient, even though it doesn't happen immediately. If you keep being consistent and your plan brought you to a certain point, chances are that it will help you to keep improving and to be better whatever you want to be. And it's not about, let's say, computer science anymore. It's about making sure that you are resilient in life to develop this mindset that helps you succeed. So again, something very important that I learned along the way. As you can see, mental health is very important, and especially nowadays in a more and more competitive world, and in a world which can make us feel like we're not worth anything because of all kinds of things we see around us, be it on social media, be it in our lives, or being with, let's say, some of the things that may not go well at the moment, be it in the world or in our lives. And it is very important that we shouldn't let, let's say, the topics we really enjoy, or the passions we really enjoy, be just another way to exacerbate our mental health issues. Because, as I said, life is worth living, and there are lots of ways to make sure that you stay resilient and to keep, let's say, loving and respecting yourself, because no one else will be able to do this better than you do it by yourself. So again, you need to have these 10 healthy habits in your mind to make sure that you find this balance that is really important in life, and not just when it comes to competing for Olympiads or interviews or in certain topics or in certain fields. These are just a part of your life. These things can also help you in other fields. It can help you in your general life. For example, you want to try something new, or you want to pursue a better career option, or something else. You need to see that a lot of these processes happen in a very similar way, but doing them the right way is very important, because if you don't do them the right way, there might be consequences that let's say ruin your self-esteem, and you would find yourself in a worse situation than you started from, just because you didn't see the signs at the time. It was something I struggled a lot with, and I can tell you from my experience that it's not funny to know that you do something you think you like, but then you realize that you don't like it because you've been overdoing it. For example, this is why I had to take a break of around a year from posting content and doing competitive programming, because I felt burnt out and I didn't, let's say, take the science seriously. And even if in the end I realized that I actually liked what I was doing, there were things I was doing that were driving me away. So it is very important to take these one step at a time to see the signs before it actually gets bad. Once again, I hope you found this video useful, and just like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you're struggling with these things a lot, you should contact a professional. Don't rely on advice from the internet. Even you shouldn't rely for serious things. You shouldn't even rely on this video either. If it's something serious, please contact a medical professional who knows way more than any one of us can know on the internet. So they are very qualified, and they also helped me in certain circumstances when I had to contact them. So because they have studied for such a profession, and they do this job better than any one of us can do it. So once again, thanks for watching this video, and I hope you found it useful. It was a video where we covered a lot of the things about mental health. I will also attach various resources you might find useful, and also ways to contact me in the description. So thanks once again for watching. If you liked watching this video, please like it, share it with your friends. It's something that I hope will cause a meaningful change in our communities, and something that can help us see that there are better ways of dealing with these things. So once again, thank you for watching, and see you next time. Cheers.